You excited for Lego Con? Are you gonna watch that?
Probably not.
No?
I don't have the attention span for that kind of thing.
That's fair. When the kids go to sleep for me, I'll put that on while I build in the background, but I'm excited to see some of the updates and cool things coming out.
Probably fair. We'll just wait till 5 and then we'll get started.
Not a problem at all.
Let's get this started. So, hello everyone. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Brick Podcast. I hope that everyone is doing well and enjoying their weekend so far. Today we have Professor Brickman joining us as our guest to talk about his Lego knowledge and about his Instagram. Welcome to the show, Professor Brickman. To start off, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Alberta. I've been collecting Lego for just over 2 years now. Started kind of the pandemic with the first set being the Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle, and now my life is revolving around Lego. So yeah.
Very nice. How did you first get into Lego? Was there a particular person or reason you got into it?
Not really. I walked past this like little flea market, almost like little pop up, and there was the Hogwarts Castle, like the big one built. And I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so I then walked into the Lego store and I bought the Hogwarts Castle. And I came home, my wife was like, "What's that yellow bag?" I go, "It's Lego." She goes, "I didn't know you did Lego." I'm like, "Oh, I don't. I'm just a really big Harry Potter fan. I'll just build this one and display it in the house, like in the one spare room there." And yeah, that led to obviously it kind of being a lie because now I have Lego all over the place. But yeah, that was kind of the first one. And then my recent project of extending that Hogwarts Castle has kind of been my baby, I guess you could say, for the last little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, it often happens like that with people. They say, "Oh, I'll only get one set. I'll never get another set after that one." And then all of a sudden they've just got a house full of Lego and they're wondering how and when and what happened.
I really reflecting the last 2 years, I look in my room, I'm like exactly that. Like, what happened? Like,
So when you say that you got into Lego a few years ago, was that your first time of doing Lego or did you do it as a child?
I didn't have it as a child. No, I grew up playing like super high intensity sports. So like Lego wasn't even like a forefront in my house. That's because we just didn't have it. I have two brothers, neither of them really into Lego either as kids. So we never had sets or like bulk Lego anywhere. And I just found like I liked puzzles growing up and I've done puzzles as an adult. So my friend, after I built this one's like, just keep building, you'll enjoy it. And I did. And yeah, so January 1st, 2020 was my first ever like where I had a Lego set.
And now you are fully suckered in and part of the addiction.
Oh, like it's a thing. I don't even know how to explain it. Like I'm sitting in my living room right now, and there's days like I'll have like a tough day at work, and like I'll come and just sit in the living room, and it's just a peaceful, calming place. Like, I don't have to even build. It's just sitting in here, and you're like, I built this. Like this is me. This is what I like. So yeah.
Makes perfect sense. It helps with the anxiety and just being able to get over bad stuff that's happened during the day. Just knowing that you can come home and you've got something that will work your brain but also calm you down at the same time because you're working with your hands.
Yeah, a lot of my teacher friends I teach, they're like, how do you come home after a long day teaching and enjoy sitting there and thinking and building and making sure you don't mess up? I go, it's so funny that your brain is turned off and on at the exact same time when you build Lego. And I tell people that, like, yes, I made mistakes as I build, and I go, I don't think I've ever been frustrated with a build. Even if like I've messed up, it's just like this is such a peaceful, calming thing. My brain is off and it's on at the same time.
The worst though is getting to the end of a bag and realizing that on stage one of that bag you've made a mistake and you've got to redo everything
The
because you've
worst,
messed up that one part.
the worst is Technic. So I only for Technic build supercars. So I just finished the Ferrari and I have like the Porsche, the Lamborghini, and Bugatti. I remember building the Lamborghini. I messed up on the spoiler and didn't notice the mess up. I was a pin off, like pinhole off on one of them. I didn't. It was like 164 steps later until you figure out that that part was messed up. And I was like, oh no.
It's,
But yeah,
it's similar on the Liber. I got to the end of bag one, but like with the Liber, it's like 10 bags per number.
yeah,
So I got to the end of bag one and realized I had a gear left and I had to take the whole of the bottom of the Technic set apart to be able to put that gear in. It was soul destroying.
that's kind of my like. I would say not like it's a feedback about Technic. Like the Ferrari only had 7 bags, but there was like 8 bags per one of the
Yeah.
7. And like for me, I can't sit down. Like I plan on I'm gonna spend an hour so I can do a bag or two, right, in a regular set. But when it came to Technic, I'm like these cars, I was like, I can't not start a bag and not finish it in a sitting almost. Like I can't leave pieces out for me. It just doesn't how I function. But technically I had to because like bag one was I think there was 7 bag ones in it. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be a hot minute. So yeah.
A lot of the bigger Technic sets are like that, and it is very soul destroying to see. Oh, I've got 5 bags in this. Oh wait, there's 10 bags per number. Damn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My wife, she's my Lego. She goes, "Oh, how many bags is this set?" She always asks me. I go, "This one's 7." She goes, "Really? Isn't it like 3,000 and some pieces?" I go, "Yeah. Just put that together there. That's how. Let's divide that out and we'll figure it out there. It's a lot." So,
I completely agree. So, what is your favorite piece and favorite theme?
well, favorite piece. So I would say it's my Hogwarts castle for 2 reasons. One, obviously, it was the reason it started me off, but I actually extended it. And my Hogwarts castle is actually 35,000 pieces. So I did someone on Rebrickable created a 26,000 piece extension to the 6,000 piece Hogwarts castle. In January of this year, I told myself that that was gonna be my project. I gathering the pieces, budgeting it out, and then displaying it. And it is now like in the corner, and it is just like that, like piece that I don't know anyone else that has it fully built like this
Yep.
in the local and distant community. And it's something I'm very proud of how I got around to it. I have all these custom like Harry Potter brick heads around it. I put Mills plates on the bottom, so there's like a really nice frame to it. So there's that one, but then there's some nostalgia pieces in here that I'm like my Ghostbuster Firehouse. I did the paperclip theory too, and I didn't pay for it. So I started with the GWP, and I traded all the way up to the Ghostbuster Firehouse.
It's insane.
So
That's
that was a
actually
one.
insane.
Yeah, so I was curious if I could do it with just trading Lego, and I kept it local, and it just started picking up, and all of a sudden I got that Ghostbuster house. It was used complete and all that stuff, but it's another one that's like it's up there for a top 3 because of just like the journey I got it on. I guess you would say the build's great too. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, there's a couple
But,
in here.
but
Yeah,
the way that you got that set it means more to you because you didn't just go out and buy it. You actually did something to get it.
yeah,
You didn't just spend loads of money on it, you know? So I can
and
understand why that one's important for you.
it was also like the meeting the people along the way, like able to sit and chat. Like it wasn't just like, oh, here's a trade, we're done. Like I got to meet so many cool like local Lego collectors and kind of not like put my name out there in the local Lego community because I was still fairly new, but be able to like find people who like different themes and like want to talk Lego and like old vintage Lego or kind of know who to kind of go to if they're looking for a specific set to buy or what's on their wish list. So it was really a piece for me, I guess you could say, that kind of stamped myself in the local Lego community because I was really wanting to talk to anyone I could about Lego at that time. So yeah,
Make, makes perfect sense. And it's the way that you'll learn about it all as well and start to feel actually part of the community instead of being outside the community.
exactly.
That's awesome. What was the idea that sparked the Professor Brickman Instagram?
Um, so I actually have a TikTok. And I started that first, even before I kind of started off Lego when COVID kind of was a thing. And as a teacher, we had to go online. So I started a TikTok and it was nothing to do with Lego, it was just being silly for my students and stuff. And I picked up a pretty decent following quickly. A fairly animated individual, I guess you could say. So I have almost 50,000 followers on there, but it was just me being silly. And then when I kind of got into Lego more and being part of the community, I wanted to share my passion and continue to meet more people, not just locally, but like worldwide, and make connections and be part of something that I didn't know was as big as it was. And every day I meet someone new, I get to talk to someone new. Um, in general, like someone's looking to even just sell a set to someone else. I love connecting people together. So with the Instagram, it was more like post a lot, and I have a small following there, which it could be smaller, it could be bigger, it doesn't really matter to me. I love sharing my passion and pictures and running contests and just really diving into the community. And that's just the biggest thing is like my thing is Lego is a great way to connect with people. And that's like my go-to when it comes to Lego. And that's what it's done for me is you feel so distant but so close in this like crazy crazy world. So that's the inspiration on Instagram. Would I love to blow up and have bajillions of followers and have sets sent to me that I can review? That'd be cool. I would never want to lose what I currently have, I guess, on my Instagram and connections I have, just to become a big Lego sensation. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And I suppose it also helps your kids as well because it's that common link that you have with the kids. Like a lot of kids build Lego because it's a good thing for them to be doing. So I suppose in a way it also carries over into your teaching because you have that more common link there with your kids in a way, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does. Like I've had parents email me like thanking me. They're like, my kid's off a device and they're asking for Lego, but then they also in the same email will send me thanks they got into Lego. This is not cheap. So it's like that double edged sword. Thanks, my kid's not sitting on his device all day staring at YouTube. They're building, they're thinking, they're creating. But also thank you because I just spent $600 at the Lego store. Like I'm like sorry.
But hey, at the end of the day, if kids are not on devices, it's not a bad thing.
No, it isn't at all.
Like that's the one thing that I loved growing up is never being on my devices when we got them, is actually being out, enjoying myself, having fun, building Lego with my grandpops,
Yeah.
instead of just being glued to a screen like a lot of the kids are these days.
Oh, it's I can go on that rampage for a while as a teacher. Now, obviously, as a parent to myself, it's just like you don't want to take away the screen time because there's benefits, but you definitely want to have its nice balance for sure. And like Lego with my boy, he's 3.5, and he calls himself a little Lego master. He'll build every morning with me. He'll have his little stuff, I'll have my stuff, and we'll just build like on a Sunday morning. That's kind of our thing. Let mom sleep in and stuff. Yeah, like it's a tough balance, but man, does Lego have so many positive things for children of any age? Like I teach 10-year-olds right now, so like they're about like the medium-sized sets, and that for their birthday they ask for like the bigger set, and then parents will message me like, "Hey, is there a better way to get this one? I can't find this in Lego stores." So again, it's a way of connecting my two passions of teaching and Lego too. Is just like it's fun. It's nice to hear parents like reaching out and be like, "What else can we do for our kid with this Lego?" And I'm like, "This is awesome."
Exactly. I really love that you're able to do that and bridge those worlds because you're bringing a lot to that community, but also to the online world by doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Next question. How do you balance being a teacher with posting regular Lego content on your social media?
So I get this a lot too. Like for me, I know there's like better times of the day to post and there's proper hashtags and like there's an algorithm. If I were to really focus in on that, I think it would take away from why I'm posting on social media. Like I have my bundle of hashtags I use. I post before I get up in the morning kind of thing. It's kind of part of my routine. You kind of see I post very similar times. If I get inspired by something and see it, I'll quickly post it. For me, it doesn't affect my teaching just because Lego, if it ever starts becoming and feeling like a job, it's going to take away from the fun aspect of it for me and like the love I'm going to have. And that's my biggest fear. I post because I feel happy what I want to post. I post whenever I feel like I want to share something with the community. If it gets 2 likes, great. If it gets 200 likes, great. I really don't focus on the number or the time or the algorithm because like I watch some of these bigger creators and I've talked to some of them and it's just like it almost seemed like they sizzled out of the love of Lego and it just becomes about making the money, posting at the right time, the right filter, the right hashtag. And to me, it just seems like a job. And Lego should never feel like that, I think. Like it is an escape from my bad days of work. And if it starts becoming, I must post at this time, I must do this, and I'm going to stop doing it.
That makes perfect sense. I'm very much of the same opinion as you. That instead of focusing on numbers and the algorithm and all that with the Instagrams, just enjoy it. Post, enjoy the comments, talk to your people. You know, enjoy when you get 10 likes because some posts you'll get 10 likes, some you'll get 50. Enjoy both because at the end of the day, they're both valid and people are still interacting with you and saying that they like your work.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the numbers, they're not important. They never
No,
will be.
no, and I've had some big creators like message me on Instagram and be like, you should be doing this, this, this. Like, you have a chance to like do something great here and, you know, become a big Instagram person in the Lego community because you have that spunk and that passion. And I'm like, number one, thank you. But like, number two, like, I know you're a big deal with like 25, 30,000 followers on your Lego Instagram and you follow only like 100 people. I get that. But I'm like, that's not me. That's never who I will be. If you're a Lego Instagram page and you post and you follow me, I guarantee you I follow you back. It's just my rule because my following count to follower is very close. As long as you're a Lego page and you post and I can see and support you, I will follow you. I don't care about my ratio. I don't care about any of those numbers. And I think a lot of people started off that way and then they blew up on a couple videos or a couple posts and they forgot kind of where they started from. And I don't want to be that guy.
Exactly that. And I think it helps that I think you're about the same age as me and Marshall. So I think it helps that you grew up in a time where social media wasn't a thing. So to us, we view social media very different to the generation where they've actually grown up with it.
Oh, yeah.
We view it as a way to show our work and interact with people. But the newer generation is much more about clout, getting, you know, Insta famous, for example, or TikTok famous, and trying to become a content creator that can do great work. But for us, where we didn't grow up with all that stuff and we're not used to clout and all of this stuff, we're very much about just showing off what we do
And
and not worrying about the rest of it.
put it so well. You said becoming a content creator and putting out great work. The second I have to start putting out great work to love what I'm doing, I'm going to stop loving it. It shouldn't have to be great work. Is like I've posted some things where this is nifty. I'm just going to post it. Maybe someone else will find out that's pretty nifty. And that's the only thing I care about. And I know Marshall and I talked about this. He's even said to me, it was Jesse, like locally, like not to toot my own horn, like people know who I am locally in my city for Lego. Why? Because I post a lot. I'm communicating with people. It is its thing. And he goes, you have a chance as well to be big. And I told him, I said, I don't want to. I don't view myself that way. That's not who I ever want to view myself as. And like, even when you guys said to do a podcast, I was overjoyed, not because I'm like, ooh, I'm on a podcast. I'm going to talk Lego with people. Like, this is great.
Exactly. And it helps, like, people show that you're not just someone that cares about what goes on with numbers and stuff. It shows people the real person behind those posts.
Yeah.
And I feel that a voice podcast like this is great for that.
Oh, yeah.
So Rachel asked, does Professor Brickman build Lego with his students the way you do with your son?
Yes and no. So there's the hard part about Lego and our current education is that budgeting is tough. We all know Lego isn't the cheapest thing. So next year, I've already proposed to my, so in September, I'm going to do a Lego drive with my school, and where all the families, if you have a bucket of loose Lego, and you want to donate to the school, and then we'll get kids to sort it, and then we'll do little challenges throughout the whole school. So it's in the process for sure. It's just, there's a lot of red tape and in the education system of what you can and can't do for stuff like that, and be able to be super inclusive with everybody. And I'm at a school where it's very split. Our local community is very low income, and the kids who get shipped in for our sports academies at my school are very high income. So I do little builds with my students when I can, with the very little bit that I have. I don't own a lot of bulk. I am a set builder. I'm a box builder. My goal this summer is to start dabbling in the mock with my boy Marshall there because he has bulk on bulk on bulk. But in the works, you're going to see more. I'll be posting probably in September once that drive comes in. My students' creations, not them personally, but like we're posting, you know what, today we did a quick challenge in my grade 5 class. Here's what my kids came up with because I want to highlight them as well as little young Lego masters and kind of get them excited because I've had kids in my class when I ask them what they want to be, they're like an influencer. And it's more than one kid that says this. And it's nuts to think like we laugh at that idea of being a job. Then we look at the numbers and people can make doing that, and you're like, okay, that is a job. So it's kind of finding that right balance for sure, but more to come with my students for sure.
That makes perfect sense. Do you ever have the temptation to build Lego during your teacher planning meetings?
Okay, I know that my boss is not listening to this, so we have to do when it was COVID, our meetings were we had to be in our own classrooms with the door closed, and we would have to listen to the meeting on our laptops. And the meetings were 2 to 3 hours long sometimes, and they would tell us ahead of time it's gonna be a longer meeting. I had built the blacksmith in one meeting from start to finish without the camera on, so you don't put your camera on, just listen. So the answer is yes, I have. Hard part is that also traveling to my work and back without breaking the sets I have because I don't collect anything small. I had kind of made a conscious decision in my collection to go 2,000 pieces plus, or else I would go absolutely bonkers trying to collect absolutely everything. So I think the blacksmith is actually my smallest piece count set in my collection.
That is actually amazing that you sat in a meeting and done that. I actually really like that you've done that. And it just shows how important you Lego is as well.
Oh yeah.
You, Mr. Classic Pirate said, do you ever lose motivation when posting constantly daily on your Instagram?
No, because if like I purposely tried to post once a day because there's not a day I don't think about like be something as simple as a quote where I had like Marshall made me that chalkboard. If you see on my Instagram, there's that chalkboard made of Lego. He designed that, made it for me, so I can kind of just post a quote that I like about Lego and kind of tie it to like my idea of mental health that I use with Lego. That's just a quick post. I might just quickly take a snapshot of a set I have currently built in my Lego room and be like, hey, hope everyone's having a good day. To me, I post once a day just because there's not a day I don't think about Lego and I want to share that passion with the world. It doesn't feel like it's work. It doesn't feel like I have to do it. It's just something I want to do. And it keeps people interested. It keeps people talking. And I think that's the most important thing there.
That's awesome. Hey Bricks asked, do you wish that you started to collect Lego earlier on in your life?
Financially, yes. But I think I wouldn't have the same appreciation for it as I do now. So the only theme where I have every single one is the modulars. So I built Diagon Alley, and then I loved the build for Diagon Alley, like the new one. And my buddy's like, you should try the modulars. And I didn't even look at that theme before he said that. I think it was actually Marshall that told me, in all honesty. But that was in the time when the police station was coming out. My dad, who passed away, was a police officer. So I said, I'm going to build that one for nostalgia purposes. Just put up in the theme in the Lego room as like that's me and my dad last time. Built it, fell in love with it, and I was like, hey, I got to collect this series. And at the time, I was still very fresh to Lego. I'm like, oh, I'm caught up. I had the corner garage, the assembly square, the bookshop, the police station. And Marshall goes, you're not caught up. There's like 10 more at least. And I go, what are you talking about? And he showed me. And then the price that it is, obviously, we know in the secondary market for those was bonkers. So I slowly collected those. I have them all now. But if I would have started collecting a while back, I definitely would have saved, financially saved some. But I think I said, there's some ones that I look back and I'm like, I probably could have saved some money, but now I have it. And that's what's more important in the build. No, if I had to pick a yes or no, I'm going to say no. I'm happy when I started. I was at the right time in my life, starting having kids, and now they can appreciate it at the right part of my career and be able to be like in love with the hobby, respect the hobby, and have an opinion enough as an adult and point of view about the many elements of this hobby. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And yeah, modulars, once they retire, they can go for some insane prices if they are sealed in box.
Someone just sold the original in the corner cafe for 3,600 Canadian.
Wow.
I'm like, the only one I bricked together was the corner cafe because I couldn't find it used at a price I could justify. And then I bricked it together. I switched out like 2 or 3 pieces in all honesty that were like really expensive. And to me, I have the corner cafe and I just call it a bricked one, but it is 99.4% the exact same pieces as you would buy the actual one.
That's crazy. Sergeant Gar asked, "What is your favorite Star Wars set, if you have one?"
Zero. None. It is the theme, and I know I'm probably get some flack. I don't have any Star Wars at all. I'm watch the movies. I enjoy them enough to be like, this is great cinematic, brilliance. There's a great storyline. I just feel like there's also so many spin-offs that I probably couldn't keep up with it anyway. Then I look at the Star Wars theme and I think to myself, how many X-Wings can you possibly need? Or Y-Wings or Z-Wings or whatever wing you need, or Millennium Falcons. And it's one where if I were to go down the route of Star Wars, it'd be UCS, but then you look at the price of those and you're like, what? It's like crazy. And the size of some of the sets, you run out of space. So for me, I appreciate Star Wars, but I have none. If you were to ask me to have one Star Wars set in my collection, it would be the Ewok Village, because it reminds me the least of Star Wars. I have zero.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, when it comes to Star Wars, I do have Star Wars sets myself, but I stopped a long time ago, like 6+ months ago, and I mainly just do figures now when it comes to Star Wars because that's all I'm interested from the Star Wars theme.
It's crazy because some of those figures are worth more than the actual set. Like I go to look and like someone's selling a set on Facebook and it's a Star Wars one. I'll go to Bricklink and I look at the price of the actual set. I'll click on figs and see what they're worth. There's some like $40 sets in Canadian where the fig is worth 60 by itself, and I'm like, what? It just baffles me with the Star Wars world for sure.
The amount of Star Wars sets I've bought just so I can get the figs out of them and then dumped all the pieces of the sets in my Lego bins just so I can have the figs at a reasonable price without having to pay through the nose on the secondary market for just the figs. But like that's why I mainly moved over into the custom world and doing Clone Army customs and things like that, was because it's just getting absolutely ridiculous. The price of normal figs on like a Clone Army customs can be 23 USD, but then you look at a official Lego fig of the same fig and you're looking at 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, in some cases $200, $300, $400 for the same fig that Clone Army Customs has done better. You know,
I've seen those custom ones and they're amazing in all aspects of it. And I laughed because I picked up a set the other day on Marketplace and I didn't even look at it. It was like $5 and it was a Star Wars one. So I picked it up because I know my buddy was looking for like older Star Wars sets. And I showed him a picture. He goes, "Are the figs in that one?" And there was 2 figs. This is like a tiny little set. I go, "Yeah, the figs are in it. Why?" It goes, "That General Grievous is worth like $100. I'm like, "What?" I said, "I paid $5 for this thing used." It was the other fig in there. There was like an Obi-Wan was worth 60. 2 figs alone were 160 on average on Bricklink. You could buy the set without the figs for like $10 on Bricklink. And I'm like, it's because he only came in 2 sets, I think is what he told me. And I'm like, this is just dumb. I'm sorry to say it, but it is me. I'll never spend more than $20 on an actual fig to finish a set because I'm like, that's $20 towards my next actual set where I can build, enjoy, make a memory of. So like me, I don't even collect the CMFs because I'm just like, it's just not my cup of tea. And like the power of the people that do, but like that's just money. It just seems to be going inflated so high now because of our inflation world. But yeah, that's just another story for another day.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, like I mainly collect figs because obviously I can't build very well anymore. But
Yeah.
plus, also when I was doing photography of Lego, I needed the figs mainly. So I now am in a hole of just collecting figs all the time. Because building is not hard, it's really hard work for me these days. So, and at the end of the day, that's the great thing about Lego is that we can all enjoy it in our own way and in our own in our own manner that we choose.
Exactly. I had someone on my Instagram and I just deleted the comment. I did a quick like scope of my Lego room. Someone commented, "You're not a real Lego collector unless you have Star Wars." I didn't even bother rebuttaling or anything. And I was like, you know what? You might be a Star Wars guy. Cool. I'm not. That's okay too. We're gonna move on. I just deleted the comment because I'm like, this is not a hill I'm really die on at this point, kind of thing. So
Yeah, and that kind of thing never makes any sense to me because at the end of the day, Star Wars didn't come until what, the late 90s to the early 2000s? Like, Technic came before Star Wars. which obviously was under a different name back then, but it came before Star Wars. You had Classic Space and then all the original themes as well.
Yep.
So how can they say you're not a proper collector of Lego if you don't own Star Wars when it's actually one of the later themes to have occurred? You know, it makes no sense to me.
The issue being is because Star Wars collectors outside of Lego are such gung-ho fans, is that now they dip their toes into the Lego world, and that's why we see so many more Star Wars sets coming out, because Lego sees that doesn't matter what they put out in terms of a Star Wars set, it will sell. You cannot find me one set in the last 2 years that is Star Wars that has not sold well. Where there hasn't been a lineup on like day one when there's a big release that there's not a lineup of people for hours on and waiting for that Star Wars set. Like, it's just the way it is. So Lego was marketed well and they found their group and like the power to them. But like, to me, I mean, that last, I called the Big Gray Horse. I mean, there's a $200 version of it, Canadian, or there is the $1,000 version they just came out with. It just blown up a little bigger. So I said, I have my qualms about Star Wars. If someone collects it, cool. But it's just not my cup of tea.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like K-Brick says, it's really about the theme that you enjoy.
Yep.
You do Lego your way, I'll do it my way, and if we meet in the middle, fair enough. But if not, goodbye.
Exactly, and just support each other about it. You guys, at the end of the day, it's plastic. This is plastic. We're sticking together. As much as we love it, like in a nutshell, we are playing with plastic. Like,
it's always funny to me though the amount of arguments that break out over what is essentially a kid's toy made out of plastic. Like the amount of arguments that I have witnessed over a lump of plastic that is a child's toy is actually ridiculous.
It's bonkers, and that's where I kind of get into the idea of like these influencers or Lego influencers now. I'm gonna say it nicely, like they just think they're this big deal when they're really not. Like, again, I love Lego. I wish I could get to the point where like I would love to be a Lego ambassador where I get Lego sets sent to me so I can build them, in all honesty. But like, we have to remember that everyone gets in this hobby for a reason, and it has to be more about the love of it. And that's why there was a bigger creator who kind of popped off on me, and it popped off back because I had a bad day. And then my name was kind of like told like, oh, careful, he's not one of us, kind of thing. And I was like, I don't care what you say about me, but like, I'm never gonna want to be you. I'm not gonna try to, for better or less words, sell out. Because a lot of them now, they know their views come from opening a box up, saying, wow, check out this new set that Lego has. They get a bunch of views on it, likes, and then they get their money. To me, they don't even look like they're actually happy about it anymore. It's just script. And I'm like,
yep.
I feel like I don't want to watch your videos, or I don't want to watch or read your post, because I just feel like you post a specific time, you say the exact same thing about every set. I just don't feel that love anymore for it. And if I don't feel that, then I don't want to connect with you. Like, that's just me in a nutshell.
And the thing is, I've actually stopped watching some Lego YouTubers because when they started their content journey, they were all smiles, happy, giving honest reviews. But then as soon as they start getting actually sponsored by Lego and being part of the Lego, like I think it's the Log Group or something,
yeah,
they suddenly go from being all smiles and happy and actually telling the truth to being deadpan on camera. And like you said, like they are reading from a script, like they have been told what to say and how to say it, and not to embellish, not to add their own opinion in. And it makes me stop wanting to watch those ones, because it just feels like they're trying to push the agenda that all sets are great, when quite clearly they're not. There have been quite a few sets over the past few years that are lemons, that are rubbish. And then you've got content creators that are sat there deadpan, no emotions, not caring about what they're talking about anymore, but still saying that the set is a great set, the figures are awesome. Like, it could be a pile of dog poo and they'd still be there giving it this is awesome, everyone go out and buy it now.
That's my qualm about, like, as much as I would love to be part of the LAN, like, it would be great to be part of, like, it's the LAN, like the Lego Ambassador Network. I watch everyone that finally gets part of that, and you're right, it just turns into say this, do this, and I'll send you every type of theme, every type of set. To me, I love my specific themes. I love my specific sets. I appreciate the other ones that I'm not in love with, per se, but I can't go on screen and say that like for example, the new Avatar set got the leak that got released. Absolute rubbish. It is a
Yeah.
joke of a creation, and I already watched two big wig creators say, "What a great build! What great techniques!" But don't say which techniques. It's just very bland. Like, "Wow, what a build! Wow, what great techniques!" And I'm like, "What do you mean great techniques? The tree is absolutely atrocious." Said, and like it just to me, I can never be that person. So if Lan says to me, "Yeah, we'll let you be part of your thing. We'll send you sets," like blank has to be done. I'll probably say no. In all honesty, I'd rather work hard, earn my money, and get my sets that way, and just be authentic than, in all honesty, sell out.
Exactly that. 1 second. Okay. So Rachel says, do you have Lego in your classroom or is Lego exclusively just for home?
So I had some sets in my classroom, and then I brought them home. There was some sticky fingers, we'll say, that were caught on. So right now, it's everything's at home in terms of my collection, and it's only allowed to be in one specific room in my house. As the wife, I'm not allowed to let it leak out into other parts of the house. I'm still working on that, but right now it's just in my house right now.
When she starts getting into Lego herself, you'll win. You'll most definitely win.
I have tried. I thought maybe she'd get into the Lego art. Done a couple Lego art pieces. That was a no go. I thought maybe if I find her like something where like we can build together, like the Diagon Alley, where you can do like I can build one at the same time she builds one section. That was a no. So she appreciates it. She loves how happy it makes me. She's supportive. But it just she does a lot of cricketing. So when she does her crafting, like anything you see that's customized, she does for me, like my chair. Anything that's like sticker related, that's all her that she does. All my stuff that's on my sweaters. But when she goes and does that, I build in the evening when the kids are down. So we each have our thing and we support each other in our stuff. But yeah, no, the Lego's not allowed to leave this room. I'm running out of space, so we're really going to work on that.
She sounds like a wonderful lady, but yeah, she needs to learn that Lego is for everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. I tried to even do the plants. I was going to get her for the like a plant because she loves actual plants. That was a no.
Rachel said, do you want us to talk to Mrs. Professor Brickman? There are some sets that can't be hidden away. That Hogwarts castle is, and then Chef's Kiss Hand.
Sorry, what was the last little bit you cut off there?
Sorry, that Hogwarts castle is like the Chef's Kiss Hand, I think it is.
Oh, that mwah.
Yeah, the pinched fingers one.
Oh yeah. So when I started that Hogwarts castle, I made sure there was the proper measurements because I have like my Lego room is very OCD in terms of like things have to fit, very specific. So I measured out the area that I thought it would fit in, and I brought her upstairs and said, "What do you think? Could I do this? Will it look good in this area?" And like to me, like that's on a 60-inch by 45-inch table. So when I say it's a large set. So it fits nicely in the corner. She appreciated it where it is, but like that's not moving anywhere. My local Lego community has an expo coming up in September, and my like the lug group that I'm part of, they're like, we want to bring this as a showcase piece. I'm like, that thing's not moving anywhere. That thing weighs an aggressive amount. It doesn't come out easily, and if you try to travel with that, it's not going to end well. My buddy's like, oh, we moved the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, no, like this makes the UCS Millennium Falcon look like a child's toy. Like it's huge. So she appreciates it, but she also helps me in terms of finding the right furniture in here, in terms of shelving, in terms of like storage. So she is a big part of this Lego room because the goal is this room still looks like a room. It could be useful and sit in. Like I have my TV. I'm not allowed to sell the couches in here, which is taking up a lot of space. I put shelving in, but still. But she's good people and she helps out a lot. But yeah, my Hogwarts castle that's my baby. Besides my actual two babies, but still.
I'm glad that you have her as backup. Hey Brooks asks, do you have a 5 or 10 year plan when it comes to your Lego collection?
I have a couple plans in the works, technically in my brain, and I've kind of really mulled them over. So I told my wife I really started looking into the investment aspect of Lego, and no, I don't keep anything in box, so I have nothing sealed. If I buy it, it means I'm buying it to build it. I don't buy a second one to keep for investments. I believe that Lego should be opened up. Lego should be played with. Lego should be built, taken apart, rebuilt, and all over again. But when I started trying to really pinpoint what I want my collection to look like, it was 2,000 plus pieces and sets I know down the road when they retire, they will inflate in value to a point where I can make some money back. I told my wife when the kids go off to university one day, which is 15 to 20 years in from now, I will sell my collection off. We will sell the house and then we will travel the world because we both love to travel. It's a massive long-term plan. So I only buy sets, bigger ones I know that themes are gonna, skyrocket at some point and kind of go from there. In a 5-year plan, my goal is to open a brick and mortar store here in Edmonton. One that is everything Lego, and the idea is Lego community. So not just be able to sell product, to be able to sell custom shelving that fits sets, framings that fit sets, merchandise that is here, have local builds and competitions here, and be able to place that, sit down and do Instagram posts and podcasts like this, for example, within the store and make it everything Lego. That's 5 years where I'm not working the store, but I'm behind the scenes, person. It's kind of the house of Professor Brickman sort of idea behind it, and I can still teach and just be another way for me to be part of the community, make some money towards my own collection and put towards that. But other than that, I don't plan on stopping building and buying and building and buying and sharing my love of it. That's for sure.
That's amazing. And things like the specialized shelving units that for Lego, that will be really important because finding shelving that will hold big sets is a pain.
Oh yeah.
I've had to go to the industrial shelving units that hold like 100 kilos per shelf.
Yep.
Because when I was able to build, I never built a small set. So I had to go to big industrial units to be able to have shelving in my house, my Lego.
And that's the thing is like, as much like we had someone just open up a local like secondary shop here on June 15th was his opening day. I've been kind of supporting him in that process. And as a friend, I've been trying to help as much as possible. But my vision of what I would want to do down the road is very different than what he's just very much, these are sets, we sell them, we make money. I want people to be able to walk in with their kids and have an area where their kids can build. I want to be able to run field trips for schools out of this. Like, I want to be able to corner the market, what Wicked Bricks does in the UK there. I want to be able to have that here with a merchandiser here because there is nothing like that here in Canada. I want, like the frames I just got for my supercars came from Italy. There's nothing like that here in Canada. So be able to have that, run a Brickling store at the back and just make it a very community-based. It's more than just, I want to take your money. It's going to be, we raise money for charity. We put funds aside for, specific things like that. And it just be kind of like a secondary home for people who love this, this hobby. Because at the end, it's a hobby. So yeah, that's kind of we'll call it a 5-year-ish goal for me.
And the thing is, when that takes off, which it probably will with the plans that you have for it, would you ever quit teaching to pursue it full time? Or would you continue to still at least do some teaching in the background?
I would still teach full time. So I would be able to find people like Marshall, for example, that I've made connections with in community and in trust and say, hey, do you want to be this guy who works my 9 to 5 in the store? I trust you to make that like decision and be behind the scenes, be present within the store when I can be, as much as I can be, and not just be a hidden investor, but I want to be enough where it doesn't feel like work still. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, as much as it is going to be a job about making money, I don't want that goal, that dream, that plan to be like, oh no, I got to pay rent. Or I want it to be a point of like, I made blank amount of people excited about Lego today. I made someone excited. I found them for a set they never thought they'd find at a price they're going to find nowhere. Because my other irritation with Lego, and I will always put this on record, is we as a secondary market are absolutely the most greediest I have ever seen in a very long time when it comes to anything. I think the fact that a set that's worth $200 in store should not be worth $400 the second it retires. So whenever I flip a set, I sell it way below Bricklink value enough to make myself a small profit, and that's it. That's another part of my store is when I do open it, you will not find prices, and I guarantee you lower than mine for sets that people really want.
I can see it ending up being a destination place for a lot of Lego collectors, to be honest, with the plan that you have for it.
And that'd be a goal for sure. Is like when people think come to Edmonton, they think West Edmonton Mall is great. We have the biggest Lego store in North America. But then I want them pit stopping at mines, not because of it being the biggest and coolest, but I want them to be like, I want to make a memory here. I want to be part of like the photo wall, for example, where I say, you buy something, your face is going up on this wall, kind of thing. Like I want it to feel like a place that I've never seen before when it comes to Lego.
Makes perfect sense. Kay Brooks asked, do you ever have people judge you for having Lego as an adult?
I've had people question me, I guess, because I don't have. When I started Lego, there was no one in my small friend group or extended family that did Lego. So when I picked it up, it was just the one set, and people knew because of my love for Harry Potter that they understood kind of okay, Hogwarts Castle, they get it. Then as it grew and I started my Instagram and I like live and breathe and bleed Lego, I've had people question why I do it, like adults that I teach with and stuff. But I don't think the word judge comes into play per se. I think it's more like a curiosity because a lot of the ones I teach with, they have kids and they're like, oh, my kid plays Lego. What do you mean you play with Lego? And I say, I don't really play with Lego. I enjoy, I appreciate, I build. So I wouldn't say judge, but I would say more they question.
Makes perfect sense. And it's something that you'll always have to contend with as being an AFOL, is the fact that people will always see Lego as more for like teenagers and under. And they
Yeah.
a lot of people really struggle to understand the concept that actually there are a lot of us out there that are AFOLs and that we do enjoy Lego, and we don't just enjoy it for the build. We don't just enjoy it because we're building something nice. And that Lego actually does mean a lot more to us than probably even to kids, to be honest, a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel said, Professor, you have an Insta post about mental health. Lego is more than just bricks and plates. What's your state of mind on the good and bad days? Some people see Lego as just plastic clutter, but to others, it's a it's a comfort. And clearly, you're passionate about Lego since you've been introduced.
Mental
So
health
she's
for me is a big thing. Even before Lego, I watch kids and it gets younger and younger who struggle with anxiety, with depression, with the ability to feel like they're the friends you or the amount of fans or followers you have is more important than the true communication and connection you have with the people around you. That it's important to get comments and views and those things. And if you don't, then you're not cool. And I believe mental health and the way I look at it with Lego and with my social media is I want to push. It doesn't matter if you get 4 likes, if you get 400 likes, if you're sharing something, you are then going to connect with someone that feels the exact same way as you do in that moment of time. And you've changed someone for the better. So for me, Lego in terms of mental health is good to deal with anxiety. It's great for creativity, imagination. Um, Again, we all understand it is expensive, but there's ways of budgeting and being smart about it. And I've really tried to focus in on to my students and to my social media that I have a pretty cool collection. I'm massively proud of it. It is valued high. I get that. I could tell you about every single set and the journey I went on to get it, whether it was budgeting for it, trading for it, who I talked to. And to me, my top 5 builds and my top 5 sets are 2 very different lists. And it's because of how I portray Lego in my life. It's because of how I look at Lego. And in all honesty, like in my mental health, I could say after I had my first kid, stopped playing high end sports, my injury kind of peaked out. I kind of lost my identity a little bit because I was always the hockey guy or the basketball guy. COVID hit, I wasn't able to coach those because there's no sports anymore. So I kind of lost a piece of who I was. Lego picked that up for me. I found a community where I can find a passion of something I love and people that I can surround with myself with. Be like, I don't feel so alone right now. We're good.
it's awesome. Yeah, a Lego piece filled the piece of you that went missing.
100%.
Hey Bricks asked, if you had the choice to pick a Lego set that would be released by Lego, what would it be?
Gosh, I'm gonna be my cliche answer now is a flipping Gringotts already to attach to my diagonally, but we'll talk about that at a different day. Um, Gosh, that's a tough one. If I went to the Harry Potter theme, I kind of would like an Azkaban, but a school. I kind of, if I were to pick one overall, just being a teacher, I would like a really detailed modular school. I would was kind of hoping for one in the modular series, but I don't really think it's going to happen because of size. But I would like a 1,000-piece school, all different classrooms, the nostalgia, and then I would kind of customize the inside a little bit to be like I'd build one of the rooms to look like my classroom.
That would be so cool. And also, it would, and you would even be able to say, for instance, leave it at school and like the reception and that, and it could, if you could build something like that that you could leave in the reception at school, like behind a glass case or something, it could help students who are new to the school get more orientated in the school in a format that's easier for them to understand.
100%.
Because you could say, right, so you're currently here in reception. This is going to be your main classroom, but you will also be using this classroom and the gymnasium here. And it would help you be able to point out to the kids where everything is in a more easy to understand and digestible format. Because a lot of kids struggle with reading and like map comprehension. So seeing it in 3D and being able to see a building that is your exact replica of the school would help them a lot.
Sure.
Sergeant Gar asked, Professor, what are your thoughts on illegal building techniques?
Illegal building techniques. Oh. I'm going to say I don't have thoughts because I haven't thought about it. So to me, off the top of my head, don't like the word illegal. So we're going to say I don't like it.
Fair enough. Rachel said, we enjoy having you in the community, Professor. The attitude around AFOLs is changing and we're glad you're here for it. Which school? American, United Kingdom, Swedish, or modular, where you can make an international one, modular American, connected to a modular of Swedish school, connected to a Japanese modular school. Yo, copyright that idea. Lego school map in the entrance.
I mean, it's an area where Lego could make a lot of money because I mean, there's so many schools out there. You could customize any school really and be a whole theme of schools.
Yeah, because it's like, obviously, I have specific learning disabilities. So for me, when I was learning the layout of schools, it was really hard for me to do so. And my granddad did similar, but with like a 3D map that he made out of matchsticks. And it allowed me to be able to find my way around the school without having to be able to read.
That's cool.
So, yeah, it would be an awesome idea. And I think you could make a lot of money selling it to a lot of different schools.
100%.
Yeah. Has anyone got any more questions? Sergeant Gar said, what is the biggest build you have done?
Well, my 35,000-piece Hogwarts castle is the biggest. And then if I were to go from just like sets from Lego, Titanic I own. I built that guy. I have the Colosseum. I built that one.
The Colosseum is an amazing set. I built that one as a memorial to my brother because my happiest memory with my brother was walking around the Colosseum in Rome with him and getting to witness that with him.
It's like top of my bucket list of places to travel right now. That in Greece. So
I completely agree. And that set, they did it real justice.
It's a beautiful. Everyone's like, oh, it's a boring build. It is repetitive. We get that. It's architecture. It's a big set. The displayability of this thing and the nostalgia and the history and it just there's so much more than everyone complaining. I don't want to do 9,010 pieces of the same over and over again. I'm like, that's on you. Like when you see this thing in its love and glory, like it's stunning.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like the way that I've done it, I've taken half of it apart after I fully built it. And I've now just got it on display with just half of it so you can see the inside of it better.
Oh, I love that.
Like, it looks awesome. So, yeah, it's one of those sets that's like one in a lifetime.
For sure.
You know? Oh, can you imagine if they did an Eiffel Tower of the same scale?
They are.
They are?
November. Wow. In November, there's going to be a 4'3" Eiffel Tower, projectively around $760 Canadian. We're remaking like the big one that came out before. It's a I want to say 1x10, but I could be wrong. It's like 4'3" in terms of height. It's huge.
Yeah, we will not be telling about my flatmate about that until it arrives on the doorstep.
It's going to be a big one. Like there is a bigger Eiffel Tower out there. There was a 1x300 scale one, but to find that one now is near impossible. And the cheapest one I've seen is like $1,200.
Wow.
Canadian. It's atrocious for price. So when they heard of the re-release, I got excited. I'll probably be in the collection. I'm debating now that I put the cars up, because I was going to put it in a specific spot in my room, but now the cars are hanging in that spot, so I'm like, to figure out how to have space.
Definitely, and space is always going to be our battle master, because of how hard it will be to find space for all the new sets that are coming out every year.
Always.
Seeing as nobody else has got any more questions, we're going to wrap this up now and let you continue on with your white whale set. So
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us today, Professor Brickman. It's been a pleasure. Awesome. Thank you very much for talking to us today. Hope that you have the rest of I hope that the rest of your weekend goes well, and that all goes well when you go back to school on Monday.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.